The interrogation of Jennifer Soto and Stefan Stearns, it is online, and you can even watch it on our YouTube channel. You can listen to it on the podcast channel. It's something. I will say that. Both very unique in their own nature. Stefan getting arrested by the end of his. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. Let's start with Stefan, and then we'll talk about Jen. We even have some clips of Jen to take a look at. But you, Jen, what was your reaction to the Stefan Stearns interrogation video and just his extremely calm demeanor throughout the entire thing, even when they said, "Hey, guess what we found on your phone?"
It's actually, believe it or not, one reaction that you see often.
Really?
Sometimes you get the reaction of the people. It's usually one extreme or the other.
Hmm.
One extreme is, "What? That's not me. Somebody did all this." So there's the one reaction.
Hmm.
And the other reaction was his, that calm, just, um, not a care in the world almost
Yeah.
type of reaction. And I that's what I would say. Normal people act somewhere in the middle of that. But quite frankly, normal people are never called in an interrogation like this because it was clear from very early on that what he did to Madeline Soto was absolutely egregious, and to most that he was the person responsible for her death.
Yeah, it was almost like, okay, the jig's up, and he just not a care in the world. It seemed, but obviously, I think you almost have to have that demeanor of not a care in the world if you're going to carry something like that out, and be okay with it. We did see the interrogation of Jen Soto as well. And I've gotten a lot of different reactions to that one this week. We'll take a look here in just a minute at that clip. What was your take on her denial of having knowledge of this stuff and her genuine emotion? I thought sometimes in that interrogation. What was your experience when watching it?
Well, that's the interrogation that really interested me the most because, I haven't been shy about it from the minute of the beginning of this case. I've said that I thought she should be arrested minimally for child neglect
Mhm.
and allowing this to happen purposefully, as she's well admitted, allowing her, adult boyfriend to sleep alone with her underage daughter. I mean, it's just sickening what she allowed them all sleeping together, talking about spooning and everything else.
Mhm.
It's just sick. And so I've always been very vehement about that belief. But then to watch her as an example after she was shown photos of her daughter uh, giving fellatio to her boyfriend, and then, well, calling his parents and saying, "Gosh, he's gonna need a lawyer." That's all I really needed to see, and so much more. Her in and out of emotion, 1 minute, hysterical, and then stopped on a dime, because she's so worried about that she's gonna be arrested. I'm not buying anything what she's saying in terms of that she didn't know, she knew.
Is this? Are we watching someone with a mental illness or a personality disorder in this that wouldn't necessarily would she be competent to stand trial, or do you think there's something so far off in this woman that that things aren't firing right, and for whatever reason she's able to block this stuff out, be conscious of it, but able to block it out as needed to basically survive?
I don't think that at all. I
No,
mean, really, this wasn't even a woman that was in a situation where, the man owns the house, the man is the breadwinner, the man's in control. She was.
that's
She
true.
was the one providing the house. She's the one with all the money, what little money they had, it was from her. She was the one that was providing, vehicles and support. And so she could have left at any time. She could have booted him out at any time.
Mhm.
There was a spare bedroom at all times. What she did, was knowing. I believe she did it competently, and I believe her motivation was her feelings for him, and just, I think, was numb to everything that was going on and just allowed it to happen. It just became part of how she existed.
It's very disturbing and very sick to think of all of that. Let's take a look at one of those clips from the interview with Jen Soto and the investigators.
Stefan needs a lawyer. Who the fuck cares if we think he killed her?
I don't know why. I don't know why I said.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Because right now you know Stefan killed her. You know Stefan's been. You know without her body, can he be charged with murder?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't know what we can do. Do I think we can charge him with murder? It's not up to me. Should he be charged with murder? Yes.
Please.
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes.
I know.
Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof and you acted like it didn't exist. And knowing the victimization, knowing how ongoing it is, knowing that you saw a picture of it, not just us telling you, not me and him saying, hey, listen, he's being, I think they had a bad relationship. They showed you a fucking picture of it. And you still protected him. So how am I supposed to not think that the thought process in your mind is until she's found, Stefan can't be charged with murder? Because we both now know that you don't want him to be charged with murder because you want him to have a lawyer.
No, I don't. That
Part
was
of the blowjob.
that was
He
then.
can't be charged with murder.
That was then. Everything that you guys have shown me since then and have shown me that he's
So we had to
alive
show
this
you a
whole
picture
time.
of her dead in a car for you to finally not take his side? Enough?
I-
Do you not see where I'm coming from? Like, I'm not trying to be a here,
No,
but
I
it
don't.
makes absolutely no sense that your name is Stefan.
I don't know.
It's almost like throwing water on the Wicked Witch is kind of what it feels like, where she feels suddenly emotion, and then she gaps it back up, and then she's like, okay again. I mean, I believe she's feeling real raw emotion, but I don't know if it's because her daughter's dead or because Stefan's been charged, or she found out about the horrible things that he was doing, or that all of her sticking her head in the sand and letting this stuff happen has caught up to her, and now she could possibly face the wrath for that.
Yeah, I go with option D.
Yeah,
I think she's truly worried about that she could face the wrath.
yeah.
Um, and I have to say, the interrogation done by this officer, I thought was A plus. It's truly, um, if people want to see it now, they're getting to take a true look behind a curtain. That's a good interrogator.
Yeah.
He starts out very early. He builds rapport. He lays all the stages, but he lets her know this is her chance to come forward and help, because remember, this was before there was a body, and I think he probably truly believed that she might know where the body was. I think it was clear from that that she didn't know where the body was,
Mhm.
but that has nothing to do with what I think she should be charged with, and that's the negligent role she had in the abuse.
Right now, in that interview, she has a specific type of immunity where she can say anything and nothing's going to be held against her. If new evidence comes up in this, she could still be charged. Why does she have immunity in something like this for someone who really is very responsible for? She is the sole. She is mom. She is the only person truly responsible for her daughter. Why is she getting immunity in in these interrogations?
Well, I think that the point that they offered this to her, it was because they were truly trying to find Maddie and make sure they could make this murder charge. Because even though the bravado you hear in the words of that investigator, the bottom line is I don't know if a prosecutor certainly at that point would have been able to make the charge. It was way too early to make a charge of murder, and they were trying to get there. So, but it is very limited, Tony. And what they did a nice job of doing was sort of staying away from those questions regarding her neglect.
Mhm.
And I think that was very purposeful. In other words, they didn't have them go really day by day and the build up and, when did you first start? They did a good job of, I think, staying away from this neglect charge that they could ultimately still charge her with. I'll be surprised if they don't, because they don't really need anything she said to make the case.
Sure, sure. So basically, they could call her back in and interview her and say, "This one doesn't have immunity, but you need to answer these questions." Or, of course, you could lawyer up to, which she probably has by
Right.
now.
Or
Um, but
Or they could just charge her, Tony.
that, yeah.
They could just charge her with the neglect
Mhm.
portion of this case, and I hope they do. Not wanting to get anything out of it, just truly putting her behind bars for punishment for really facilitating this whole crime, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you, I mean, wonder to think if she does stay out. I mean, look, this she clearly is not a healthy human being. She clearly put her head in the sand enough, or the worst, enabled uh, her boyfriend to abuse her daughter. She's a danger to society. God knows what else and who else's life she can destroy out on the streets or out in life, just with her toxic way of thinking.
It's so true, and really, quite frankly, I don't know if they've answered all of the questions regarding her complicity.
Mhm.
And I think they're still researching that and trying to figure out what they could possibly charge her with.
Yeah.
But is she a danger to the community? Well, she would be a danger, in my opinion, to any child that
Yeah.
were in her care.
I would say not in the sense of like a murderer in the community. I think more long term of this, where relationships she forages, whatever she does in life, she will be the destructive force in all of that, and will ruin other lives. And someone could someday look back and then go, well, why wasn't she locked up? Look what how complicit she was in this. Look at how what of a participant she was in this. I do hope they find a way to lock her up, because this is I'm shocked already that she has not been. Are you surprised that she's not been arrested and charged yet?
I really am. But I do understand too, you truly get one bite at the apple, and they
Yeah.
need to have all their ducks in a row. And again, you're going to want a prosecutor that is willing to prosecute based on a beyond a reasonable doubt
Mhm.
situation. I know everybody says, yeah, they just need a probable cause in their criminal complaint or in the indictment. That is really a misnomer. The fact is, a prosecutor wants to believe there is reasonable doubt or he's not going to move forward. That's the standard that a prosecutor has, even though that's not the standard of law for a criminal complaint for an arrest affidavit.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.